So, Heather, when we broke, we talked about one of the Trump scandals. I want to say du jour, but I know I just don't know my French well enough to say of the week. But the other one, the first one being, of course, the way that he treats his supposed charity foundation as a means in which to pay his legal penalties without incurring any of the tax issues involved in paying his own money. The other was Donald Trump Jr. putting out a fairly provocative tweet about refugees that was very reminiscent of propaganda, frankly, from the Nazi regime.
Well, yeah, and it's also been a common theme among white supremacists in America for a long time. I guess what happens, just to explain what he did, he put out a tweet that had a picture of a bowl of what looked like M&Ms or Skittles, and he called them Skittles in particular, and said that, look at this bowl of Skittles. If there were 3 that were poisoned in them, would you take a handful? That's what's happening with Syrian refugees. And, of course, the implication, first of all, comparing humans to a bowl of candy is offensive. And second of all, the facts that he's talking about are ridiculous. If you took that number that he says 3 in the bowl are poison, there's no evidence that any Syrian refugees have even committed any crimes, much less crimes of terrorism, so that's wrong. And, of course, what this is basically saying is that, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, right? I mean, we don't know which one it is, but now everything's all messed up. And this theme is one that has been out there, like you said, it's during the Nazi regime. In fact, you can trace it all the way back to a lot of anti-Semitic propaganda going back into the last century. This idea that, hidden within the group are these, evil people. And yes, or as Donald Trump says that, and some, I assume, are good people, as he says about
Right.
Mexican immigrants. So, this theme is out there. And you really have to look at Donald Trump Jr. I mean, number one, he has indicated that he might want to go into politics after this is all over. When people say that Trump is, sui generis, that he is not somebody, no one else can ever repeat it, Trump Jr. could. He is actually a very much a chip off the old block, and he is an alt-right white supremacist. I am just looking at his record, looking at the stuff he's been doing. I mean, this is a guy who came off the Republican National Convention. The first place he went was the Neshoba County Fair in Philadelphia, Mississippi. And that is a very famous place, which most people who know history understand was the site of 3 civil rights workers being murdered in 1964, and where Ronald Reagan famously went in 1980 to dog whistle all the races, all the southern races that, he got it. He went there, gave a big speech about states' rights, and very clearly told people that, told all those folks down there in Mississippi that he was on their side. And for Trump Jr. to rush off right after the convention to go there, and he defended the Confederate flag, said it was tradition, and he didn't think people should be so upset about it. So that, combined with all of his tweeting of anti-Semites, all this alt-right stuff that he does, and there's a whole list of them. This guy is very I think people can sort of say, old man Trump, well, he's a garden variety racist. He probably doesn't understand all this young, modern alt-right stuff, right? He's just tweeting it out, and he doesn't know what he's saying. I don't believe that, but, I could say that maybe that you could say that about him. Not Trump Jr. Trump Jr. is 38 years old. He's millennial. He knows what this stuff is, and he is very much in there, tweeting out all.
And look, you don't go to Neshoba County.
Crap.
You don't go to Neshoba County Fair by accident. I mean, it's
not
like he's a Mississippi politician. He's just hitting.
That Trump needs Mississippi, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I think he's got that one in the bag. That's not really necessary.
He's going out there to send a message,
Yeah.
and I think. There's been a lot of talk over, the past year, and there's been a theory floated around for a while that there's a hidden white vote out there. And these are white disaffected voters who are probably, sort of associated with, old school racists and who just have had it with the country. And I think to a certain extent, they're pursuing those people. And at that point, it doesn't really matter what's in your heart at that point. What matters is where you get your political authority from, where you get your political power from. And if you're in pursuit of that power, and that power is coming from white nationalists, it doesn't matter whether in your heart you're a nationalist or not. You don't have to be sincere to be a danger to a huge a portion of the population. So, yeah, very disturbing. And, one thing I want to talk about when we come back is that these stories are getting out there. They don't seem to be in any way impacting Donald Trump's popularity. And I'm curious as if you have an idea about that, and an idea as to why we haven't starting to see maybe a little bit of a momentum swing to Clinton, nothing terribly pronounced. But what's going on with that? We've got to take a break. We will talk more about this as we are now less than 2 months away from the presidential election, just a couple of days away from the first presidential debate.